If you could talk directly to President Trump, what would you tell him right now?
Yeah. Can I be a little bit vulgar?
Go for it.
I would just look him in the face and just say, F you. That's about it.
Stop the bull. Make America great, like you said. That's what I'd say.
I hope at some point he meets the God that he professes to know and regains control of his mind and gets in touch with the people that he professes to serve.
Ooh, people are upset tonight. Chuck Rocha is with us at the table.
Those videos.
I didn't know I could cuss on TV.
We cannot. Okay? Every time we curse, we gotta apologize.
Yes,
so we will not be saying sorry tonight. But the voters are very upset. You know what? We were talking about this earlier on our call, but I think there are all these folks that said, "Oh, Trump has a mandate. Perhaps he's overplayed his mandate." I believe that he was elected for a lot of different things. There was a little racism, a little mass deportation. Some of the people just did not like Joe Biden. Some people remembered what the economy was like when Donald Trump was president the first time, in my opinion, benefiting from the Obama economy, the spillover. So they were like, let's give Trump another chance. We remember when we got the stimmies, the checks?
Yeah.
And they thought that the prices were going to be lower. Donald Trump did not have a mandate. I think he created his own mandate in his mind that said the war in Iran, the tariffs, right, a little bit of the chaos, the retribution. All of that is fine because the people reelected me. And I think those people really were looking for lower prices and to return to the economy that they had at the start of the first Trump administration. And now they don't have it. You've got people that voted for the president cursing on national television at the gas station.
I think mandates aren't real. I think they are a made-up thing that only people that think about them are politicians. No voter is going to the polls like, time to give them a mandate. It's time. That's not how people think about this. And so I think what Donald Trump is learning is that mandates aren't real, and that just because someone voted for you doesn't mean that they are going to give you permission to do whatever you want, however you want. When he pitched to them that prices are too high and I will bring them down, they believed him. When he said to them, I am not going to go in the Middle East with any of these wars, they believed him, Vaughn. And now in this White House, he seems to have forgotten these folks.
And the fact is, the president, if he's tuning in to any sort of version of dissent and not just watching OAN or Newsmax, it's not just one voice. It's not just two Trump voters, three Trump voters. This is now for months been a rising tide that is so strikingly different than the last decade of talking to voters out on the road. Folks that were aligned with Donald Trump consistently, they were sticking by him. They had faith. He was fighting for them. He was going.
It would work out.
Right. He was initiating his tariff wars because he was going to get a better deal for Americans, right? He was going to fight these wars because he was going to win it for America. Suddenly, they're not just, quietly talking to their neighbors or their family members. They're going on national television and speaking the words. And Chuck, that is where I wonder what you take from these anecdotes and the extent to which you pair that up with the data and what this tells you when you hear folks like this increasingly speaking out.
When we're in focus groups right now, my campaign, we're working on campaigns from California to New York. This looked like a focus group that I have been watching. It's happening everywhere. And it's especially happening with Latinos, working class folks. There's a lot of folks that are sick and tired of being sick and tired. A lot of it's driven by gas prices. But there's another underlying effect here is like in the primaries in Texas, and we've talked about this here with Simone before, is that 30% of the primary voters in the Tallarico primary had never voted in a Democratic primary. Now, I knew that a lot of those had come that were general voters that were just mad because, hey, there's a primary in Texas now. But what really got me was 12% of those voters had a history of voting in a Republican primary. That tells me something that's different that's happening from 2018. And when we see the disaffection now in these congressional races, because this ain't a national election like the president.
Right.
It's just a handful of congressional seats where a lot of those, they're not in New York, they're not in L.A., but they're out in the country where fertilizer and diesel and farms where I grew up, folks are pissed.
Well, let's hear from, you didn't grow up in Iowa, but Iowa's my neighbor. I also didn't grow up in Iowa. Go Big Red. I'm a Nebraska girl through and through. But to your point, folks they are telling real stories, and it is jarring to hear some of this from voters. This is a voter yesterday in Fort Dodge, Iowa, talking about making ends meet. Take a listen.
I mean, it's all hard. I mean, to be honest, I know this is going to go out in public and it's kind of embarrassing, but like at 44, I just moved back in with my mom this past weekend. I got divorced 2 years ago. I mean, I have a college degree. I have a really good job, but like rent prices are going up. Gas prices are going up.
It's hard. It makes me feel like I'm a horrible mother sometimes because I'm stressing about what I'm going to do, or do I have enough money to put gas in, or do I need to buy eggs and milk for my child, or do I need to not go to work every day to make that money because gas prices are so expensive.
How can someone listen to those two women or listen to any of the folks that we talk to, that folks at every other network talks to, and not care? It's troubling that you can be in politics, hear that this woman who got a divorce is 44 years old, says she has a good job and had to move in with her mother, a mom who was saying, I feel like a failure because of what you people in D.C. are doing to me, Simone.
It's crazy. Well, I would argue that the people in the White House are likely not hearing that.
Yeah.
And when they do hear it, they think it's an outlier. I worked at the White House. Remember we were talking about transitory inflation in the first Biden administration?
I do.
And I was going to the grocery store though, and I was like, well, this don't feel transitory to me. The people on the Council of Economic Advisors are clearly Instacarting it in. And I believe, Chuck, like that's what's happening right now. Vaughn, I feel like you made the point earlier about the fact that the president is a little more insulated.
Yeah.
He is doing these big rallies, but when you do the rallies, y'all know the
In
people
and out.
in and out, and the people that get backstage are the donors.
Exactly.
He's not meeting a woman like that in Iowa, and that makes a difference.
There's two things that come up in any focus group and in any poll that we're doing in all the battleground states. Two things, and it's not hard, and it's old, young, black, brown, or white. There's two things. One is things cost too damn much.
Right.
And I'm not making any more money.
Right.
I'm making the same money I made 10 years ago, but things continue to go up. I could make it ends meet by knowing that gas was going to be this much, milk was going to be this
budget.
much.
You can
Right.
plan.
And when that woman said I had to move in with my mama, that's happening in a lot of places. Folks have a good job, but things have become so expensive. When you throw in daycare and you throw in somebody getting sick, for God's sakes, then folks are like filing for bankruptcy. This is something that's been underreported, but there's been more Chapter 7 bankruptcies from individual under Donald Trump than there has been in the last 2 years, in the last one.